Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Marketing Madmen. Trip Job and Nick Constantino here. And, it's that time of year.
Yeah, we're in an election cycle. I think we're at the end of it. I think just about everybody's like, still? Is this still happening? Just get it over with. But
just get the ads over with. I think that's what I've been, feeling for the last 3 weeks.
It's funny, Trip. Because of what I do, I have to be intimately involved with it. In fact, so those that don't know, I have to read like a 200-page manuscript of what's legal and what's illegal. Right. And all it does is contradict itself with every paragraph that passes. Because God knows, well, whether it's the law or the government agencies that need to be paid hourly wages to keep themselves in business. But it is insane. It is to the point where it's so spread out and no one knows what's really happening. And the laws change in real time and social media. But now there's AI. Where can AI be used? And like these are letters that the Congress doesn't even want to keep up with. Right? You have 80-year-olds being like, AI, oh my God, I read a book about that. Orson Welles wrote a book about that. So anyway, so Trip, we're gonna have a conversation. We're just to frame this. We are in a week before the election, but this will air later. But I think it adds something to this conversation.
Well, I think it's relevant when we're having the conversation, and we'll look back and listen and see where it goes.
And see where it goes. So today we are talking with Giovanni Diaz and Zach Gaeta of Diaz and Gaeta Attorneys at Law, and we are going to talk about immigration. We are going to talk about law. We are going to talk about policy, but what we are not going to talk about is politics. Yep. And to be clear, if you are one of the people that has to make this a political, you're part of the problem. These are easy conversations to have as human beings with each other without bringing the he said, she said, this party does this. And I will state my political views to be clear. They all suck. Burn it to the ground. Start over. I'm a libertarian. I'm being lied to. I'm being manipulated by people who suck up enough to be in these positions.
Well, I think some of what you hit and what we'll probably get into too is a lot of people think of lawyers and all they think about is trial law. Right, and court cases and criminal, and we can get in the whole political side, which we won't. Right, but I think this also is going to get into, there's a lot of other sides to the legal community and a lot of value that can go on
for sure
for different constituents, and that's I think we'll cover that today. So.
The good news is that after that intro, these guys are not scared crapless and they're still here, so that's a good sign to start. So first off, Gio, how you doing, bud?
Doing well. I represent immigrants, so that there's very few things that are going to scare me shitless and get me kicked off of a podcast. I can handle the heat.
That's good.
I can get beat up in court. I'm pretty used to it. So
that's good. That's good. And Zach, how you doing, bud?
Same way. I just got through with the jury trial last week, so for me, I'm recovering, and anything seems like a breeze after doing a jury trial like that. So
that's good. Challenge accepted. So we're gonna make this extra hard on you now that you said that. All right. So
I just got out of jury duty yesterday, so I got excused. Once I got excused. Wow. Yeah.
I had getting out of jury duties.
Well, what I would have said is be like, I represent immigrants in court, and then we'd be like, oh, get out of here.
Well, it's funny.
That's what I gotta say.
I had to excuse like a third of the jurors. The judge, like by law, had to excuse a third of them because they were all like, we can't even discuss this topic. There was like there was bias, or there was like, I can't even look at your client right now.
You know what? I'm so happy you said that. So let's start. Let's take all of the bias out of this. Okay, let's talk about the people. Because one of the things that we tend to do is take these things, 30,000-foot view, we bunch everybody together, talk about the people. Talking about the people the firm serves, talk about some of the real-world problems they have, talk about when they come in, the desperation and the uncertainty and what they face, because I think we have to humanize this before we can get into what you guys do.
So we'll try, it's difficult to do, but we'll try to sum it up, right? Because there's a wide range of things that we do. I have a few specialties, right? So one of our specialties is representing people in what's called removal proceedings, people that the government is actively trying to deport. We also have people that want to petition family members, right? They get married to U.S. citizens, or U.S. citizens get married to people and they want to adjust. People that are looking for different type of visas, people that looking to apply for citizenship after having green cards for a long time. So there's a wide range of things that we do. I don't necessarily deal too much with the employment side, but I have enough colleagues and I've done enough work to have a basic understanding.
And that's H-1 visas and employment sponsors, and how you stay.
Basically, where companies sponsor employees and immigrants to get visas and stuff like that. So a large portion of I would say 50 to 60% of the people that we represent are people that don't have status, or their status is in the air, and they're looking to us to help them get status. Either they entered with a visa, some kind of visa, and it either expired, something happened, they didn't want to go back. or they entered legally and they want to maybe change that visa route, like they enter with a tourist visa and they want to get maybe a work visa. So there's a wide range of people that we represent.
Yeah, and the other side of it, to benefit working with Gio, is that I do a lot of the criminal and the civil law, right?
Okay.
So when a client is charged with, like, you know, anything a citizen can be charged with, like DUI, domestic violence, theft, because we also handle immigration, we know how to navigate those issues in the criminal aspect. Criminal kind of is a broad label for
Sure.
like, even traffic related issues. You know, DUIs are related.
And
to that,
traffic related issues for some of my clients, the consequences are a lot
fatal.
bigger.
Yeah. And that's an example of something that no matter what you say has to be fixed everywhere, because that's part of the reason insurance rates are so high, is because you're letting people, you have people driving without insurance because they can't be bought into the system to get the process needed, and that burdens everybody. So there are a million reasons, you know, no offense, but you could almost always know someone driving 52 in a 55, there's a reason, because they don't want to get a ticket, and the whole traffic stops around it. And it's funny, but what I'm saying is sometimes we forget to look at, there are so many more problems that domino effect off of these things that burden everybody, that saying get them out of here or just this is ludicrous to say.
Well, it's a simple thing. Like Georgia's interesting, and Georgia's one of the states that they're really, really strict on giving driver's licenses. So what happens is, because they're so strict on giving driver's license, people that are authorized to work here and are allowed to be here, they get denied all the time because they don't have the proper category, they don't bring in the proper documentation. The person at DDS maybe doesn't have the appropriate training and doesn't know that they actually have a work card. So we run into that problem so much that, you know, the more conspiratorial folks are like, oh, that's meant to deter people from getting driver's license. But if you don't get people's driver's license and you don't let them be fingerprinted and you don't let them learn the rules of the road, pass test, there's clearly a public safety consequence to that.
Many.
So,
and I think there's a quick trip. Let me just say this because I want you to jump in, but there is a problem with the bureaucracy. Yeah. And the bureaucracy, even people work for the government, they want those jobs. Are they versed? Are they trained enough? Do they have enough diversity in what they experience? Are they sitting in parts of the city where you don't see these versus in Atlanta, where they're probably a little better in Atlanta at doing these things? Is it a red part of town? But there's so many things that fall in it. But at the core, this is still bureaucracy. This is still government, and it is still almost meant to fail every time. Go to a post office and see failure at bureaucracy.
And the bureaucracy could be used, right? The inefficiencies of the bureaucracies can be used effectively, right? And we've seen that in different administrations.
I think this might be our second. I've heard something outlandish. Bureaucracy used effectively. I think that might be segment 3.
Well, you use the inefficiency. It's just funny to see because, you know, my clients are the ones that deal with it. My clients are the ones that, you know, for something that should be done in 2 months, it's taken 17 months, 18 months, 20 months for something very simple.
And resources, government resources. People are paying the bill for these people. Part of the inefficiency is our taxes go up, insurance rates go up. We're sitting here complaining about these things. There's so many root causes.
And then, well, the other thing is that in other states, right, where they allow them to drive, like undocumented people to drive with licenses, right, they allow them to get the insurance. And so they're pretty much essentially now part of the insurance, the pool, right? So it's not that they're not able to drive. It's just that the government refuses to give them licenses because of, for instance, we like to say that it's probably political reasons, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, so. I get it.
I mean, I can go off on a rant and a whole host of things.
Rant.
You know, so we deal with, and we're actually working with one of the government agencies, the Forest Service, right, on data they wanted, data that we share back and forth. Let's go on into bureaucracy. I mean, this goes across probably things you're dealing with, but there's different parts of government that don't speak to each other. There's different systems. By the time we finally got through all the red tape after about 2.5 months to work through all that, then there was an issue of, your old account had an old CFO on there. That's someone else. You have to go fix that. Then you've got to go in the systems within the government, whether it's federal level government, whether it's state level government, whether it's cities, they rarely are connected. I mean, it's the silo factor of the government and everyone is in their own myopic, and this is how the bureaucracy, you can use the system to your advantage, depending on how you view things, is nope, this is my lane, and you got to go fix that. And the amount of man hours that we put in to dealing with and fixing all these various things, because one part of the government said, I really want this. This is going to help us, make us more effective. But they couldn't do it themselves, and so that's that's a whole government issue.
What levers are we pulling on? What empowerment do you have to fix issues? And they're not empowered to fix the issue. So again, like we said, This is the bureaucracy across many factors is broken in many things. So we understand some of the structural issues. Talk about the people coming in. What are these people? How do they find you? When they come in, what are they asking you? Are they hysterical? Have they thought about this? Have they seek previous counsel? What do the people coming in? What is the interaction with them?
It's a wide range. I think luckily we're lucky now. We're in a position where we've been in business for 10 years. So people know who we are. And word of mouth in certain communities is everything, right? So
tightly knit communities.
Tightly knit communities. So I think really, and I know marketing and advertising is super important, and it is part of the formula. But I think the reason why we're able to reach a lot of these folks that I guess are considered to be marginalized or on the shadows or whatever, is that the formulas are there, the processes are there, and we're efficient and we're good at our work, right? So I think the big thing is that it's how we're good, right? So because they talk so much, because 90% of our business is referral based, people communicate. So in these communities, communication is everything. And I think they're less likely to listen to a commercial. There's distrust of the big firm folks.
Yeah.
There's distrust of the person that spends a lot of ad money on certain things. But they know this attorney that's helped 7 people in their family.
Yeah.
Well, there's a trust factor, and most of the, maybe many of the time, the things they're dealing with is about their lives, right? So trust is going to be imperative.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sharks in the water too, right? So like if you're in certain communities too, people know that they're easy prey. So the sad thing is so many of the folks that actually end up with us, they finally get an ethical attorney that's somewhat competent, right? And they've already gone through, they've already been hosed by their own folks, right? By people say, I speak the language, or somebody who has the ability and knows that these people are on the fringes. So what do? They say,
they're elaborate schemes. These are not just con
they don't have to be that elaborate. There are elaborate schemes, but there are not elaborate schemes. One of the schemes is like, I know that I can cast this net forever. Right, and all I have to do is, and I won't open an office, or open the office, then I'll close the office. I'll take money from this person, and I'll just go to the next town.
Yeah. So I want to come back to that after the break, and we'll kind of dive into some of the things you see out there and how you're able to help, obviously some of your clients. So you've been listening to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3. We'll be right back.